He sat under the harsh glow of the hospital lights, trembling hands clutching the tiny pink jacket that still smelled like his daughter. The ER was almost empty, except for the echo of machines and his quiet sobs. When the doctor came out shaking his head slightly, the single dad broke down, whispering, "Please, she's all I have." And that was when a soft, trembling voice spoke from behind him, "I know that pain too." He turned around, tears blurring his vision, and saw a woman who looked like she hadn't slept in years, wearing grief like a second skin. But that night, both of their lives were about to change in ways neither expected. It all started hours earlier, when Ethan rushed through the stormy night, holding his 6-year-old daughter, Chloe, in his arms. Her fever had spiked dangerously high, and his old car had stalled twice on the way to the ER. He was a construction worker, strong, reliable, but tonight, his hands shook so much he could barely sign the hospital forms. "Please, just help her," he begged the nurse, voice breaking. They wheeled Chloe away, leaving him in the cold hallway that smelled of disinfectant and fear. The clock struck midnight. Ethan sat alone on the hard plastic chair, his calloused hands covering his face. He thought about all the nights he had read Chloe bedtime stories, the way she'd giggle and tug his sleeve for just one more. She was all he had left after his wife passed away 2 years ago in a car accident, a loss that had carved him hollow inside. He had promised himself he would never cry again, that he'd stay strong for his little girl. But tonight, as he heard the monitor alarms through the ER doors, that promise shattered. Tears streamed down his face as silent prayers escaped his lips, and then he heard that voice, gentle, almost broken. "I know that pain too." He looked up to see a woman in her late 30s, dressed simply but with an elegance that couldn't be hidden. Her name was Olivia. She was sitting a few seats away, holding a worn-out locket in her hand. Ethan noticed the tear tracks on her cheeks and the deep sadness in her eyes. She walked over, offering him a tissue, and sat beside him without saying another word. Sometimes silence said more than comfort ever could have. For a while, they just sat there, two strangers bound by pain. Then she spoke softly, "My husband and son, they were in an accident 3 years ago. I come here sometimes when I can't sleep. I sit in this ER and remind myself that I survived." Her voice wavered. "You're not alone." Ethan looked at her, confused and grateful all at once. He hadn't realized how badly he needed someone to tell him that. "My daughter, she's all I have left," he whispered. "She'll pull through," Olivia said, her tone filled with quiet conviction. "Because she has you. And that love? It's stronger than anything." The doctor came back, his expression unreadable. Ethan braced himself for the worst, his body trembling. "But then, she's stable now. We managed to bring her fever down." The words hit him like sunlight after endless night. He broke down again, but this time, it was from relief. Olivia reached over and gently placed her hand on his shoulder. "See? Love fights back." When Ethan was finally allowed to see Chloe, he turned to thank Olivia, but she wasn't there. Only the faint scent of lavender remained. The next morning, as Chloe slept peacefully, a nurse came in carrying an envelope. "Someone left this for you," she said with a smile. Ethan opened it and froze. Inside was a handwritten note, "You reminded me what hope feels like. I'd like to help, not out of pity, but because I believe in you." Attached was a business card, "Olivia Bennett, founder, Bennett Foundation." Ethan blinked. The name sounded familiar. She was one of the most successful businesswomen in the city, a billionaire widow known for her philanthropy. But last night, she hadn't looked like a billionaire, just a broken soul offering light to another. Weeks passed. Olivia kept in touch. She visited Chloe, bringing her small gifts and laughter. Slowly, a quiet friendship formed between them, built not on wealth or pity, but on shared wounds. Ethan started working for the Bennett Foundation as a site manager for housing projects, work that finally made him feel proud again. Olivia admired his humility, his devotion as a father, his refusal to let hardship turn him bitter. And Ethan, in turn, saw through Olivia's polished exterior to the woman who had lost everything but still gave love freely. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Chloe ran to Olivia, clutching a drawing of the three of them. "Look! Daddy, you, and me," she beamed. Olivia's eyes welled up. Ethan smiled softly. That small piece of paper said everything words couldn't, but life had one final test. Chloe relapsed suddenly one night, a complication from her earlier illness. Ethan's heart stopped when the ambulance took her back to the same ER. Olivia was there within minutes, her presence steady as stone beside him. He broke down again, whispering, "I can't lose her." Olivia took his hand. "Then we won't let that happen." She made one phone call, and within minutes, a team of the city's best specialists were working on Chloe. Hours passed like years. Ethan prayed while Olivia stayed right there, refusing to leave. Finally, the doctor came out again, smiling this time. "She's going to be fine. You got her here just in time." Ethan collapsed into a chair, sobbing with gratitude. Olivia knelt beside him, tears streaming down her own face. "Told you," she whispered, "love fights back." Months later, Chloe was back to running through the park, laughter echoing again. Ethan watched her chase butterflies while Olivia stood beside him. The pain that had once defined them had turned into something new, a quiet strength, a bond formed in the darkest hour. As Chloe called out, "Daddy! Miss Olivia! Look at me." Both of them turned and smiled. Ethan said softly, "You saved us both that night." Olivia shook her head, eyes glistening. "No, Ethan. You reminded me that life still has something worth saving." Under the golden evening sky, two broken souls finally found peace, not because they forgot their pain, but because they found someone who understood it. And sometimes, that's all love really is, two hearts that say, "I know that pain too."